So much. Joining me now, I have Congressman Jimmy Patronis, Republican from Florida. Congressman, good morning to you. You know, I was watching your Twitter account last night, and you mentioned that this was your first ever State of the Union. What was that like for you as a congressman? There you are.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It was surreal. You know, I wasn't quite sure what type of partisanship or bipartisanship you might see. You saw all the chambers stand up when we talked about affordable housing. When he talked about getting rid of Iran having any nukes, you saw some bipartisanship. Unfortunately, the things that we did with the One Big Beautiful Bill was nothing that the Democrats wanted to champion, or especially the tax cuts that are starting to hit home as we speak right now. But it was incredible. It did not seem like an hour and 40 minutes. It was a night to remember for this guy.
Yeah, well, I know that is a rare and coveted ticket, so I just wanted your take on that for starters. You know this, the president has been up against some fierce polling ahead of last night's speech, with his average approval now just over 41% in the latest News Nation Decision Desk HQ polling tracker that we have going here. How much do you think last night's speech will turn the tide with midterms looming?
I think it was important to explain where the One Big Beautiful Bill actually has impacts on the average household budget, pointing out what the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on security, child tax credit. I remind people all the time, look, I've been in government for a little while. When government makes a decision, it's like steering a mountain. It's not going to happen overnight. In my hometown, I gassed up last week at $2.29 a gallon. You're seeing it in fuel prices. You're seeing some of the commodities start to adjust. But look, we had 4 years of the highest inflation in the history of America. So it's not going to correct overnight. But again, explaining it is always a good thing. And that's what we saw last night.
Yeah, I know it's not going to fix itself overnight, but do you think it's going to fix itself in the next 7 months before midterms? Yeah, I know the president blamed the Biden administration in his speech for inflation, but he says the economy is roaring. Polling indicates more than half of Americans are concerned with just the cost of everyday living, housing and energy, groceries, healthcare. What needs to happen in the next 7 months for y'all to convince Americans to keep giving you the power?
Sure. So I think this is why the One Big Beautiful Bill and its passage as quickly as possible was so critical. It was signed on the 4th of July last year. But again, when we made changes in Florida with the insurance market, it took about 18 months till you started to see relief. This is no different. It's going to take some time before those decisions at the commodity level, the construction level, the labor level, the investment and consumer confidence starts to trickle down, and the competitiveness ends up at the point of purchase at the cash register. So I think the first real indication you'll see is right after tax day, as you start seeing people getting their refunds based on the new tax code from the One Big Beautiful Bill.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, you've been pushing for big tech reforms as well. And last night, the president saying this about data centers and who should foot the bill when it comes to electricity. Take a quick listen and I'll get your take.
Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory, so that no one's prices will go up, and in many cases, prices of electricity will go down.
Congressman, I only have a few seconds here, but just your thoughts on the president's proposal there and whether it can pass the House and the Senate.
Sure. So I used to regulate utilities, so I totally understand this. Where you have demands that are needed by the commercial sector, you can't do it on the backs of the household ratepayer. So this is creating some extra freedom and ability right now, where a company that wants to build a data center can go maybe negotiate with a natural gas commodity to lock in contracts in order to produce their own electricity. This is a way to make sure they're not in competition to drive up rates, but at the same time, they can get the access to make that investment to bring AI in the United States and not to China.
We'll follow it closely. I got to end it there. Congressman Jimmy Patronis, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for your time.
See you, Marky. Take care.
See you again soon. You as well. Well, this